Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk a little bit about AI. And I know AI is a bit of a buzzword these days, and it's something that you've probably been hearing quite a lot about. But we think it's important that our agencies are aware of HIPAA compliance when it comes to AI, as well as PII, personally identifiable information, and PHI, which is personal health information. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today.
Now, the last thing we want is for our agencies to be accidentally non-compliant. So we are very excited to have experts in the room, Marissa Snook and Matthew. I'm going to not even try to say your last name, Matthew.
It's Gaucher. It's French.
Goucher.
Yeah, it's why it's
Oh, it's
okay.
French.
Yeah, but
So we're very excited to have them here to tackle some of these conversations about AI and AI as it relates to websites, search engine optimization, things that are important for your agency to know about marketing. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself because not everybody knows me. I'm Nikki Reynolds. I'm the marketing and communications manager for Rosemark. I'll let Robin introduce herself real quick and go around the room.
I'm Robin Tuck. I'm the product owner over at Rosemark.
Marissa, want to
I'm
tell us?
Marissa Snook, the president and CEO of corecubed. We specialize in care marketing of all sorts, and I've been in marketing specifically for home care for over 20 years now.
Wow.
awesome.
Matthew?
Yeah, no. My name is Matthew Gaucher, French last name. I've been in digital marketing, specifically B2B, for over half a decade now. I've been a home care worker actually for over a year as well. And when I'm not here doing marketing, you can find me at MMA or playing guitar. Just you were talking about piano a couple minutes ago,
Yeah.
so I had to throw that in. So
Very cool.
Nice. All right, well, let's talk about AI as it relates to marketing in the home care space.
Yeah, I think generally people have been a little nervous about it. And when I started giving presentations on AI, people would go, "Oh gosh, AI, I don't know." But now it's becoming more and more a part of our everyday lives, and we don't even realize half the time when we're using AI. I mean, we'll talk about like those Google searches that you do now, where those AI results are at the very top all the time. And there are ways to bring it into your marketing that use it as a tool and not as a crutch. I think any AI that you work with for marketing has to be reviewed by a human being because it's still pretty much a baby in some ways. There's a lot of issues with it having biases. There's issues with it sometimes makes up statistics. So there you have to make sure you're looking at your sources when you're quoting things. So that's why we feel it always needs to be reviewed by a human. But I think home care agencies can and should use AI in their marketing efforts to help as a tool.
yeah, I mean, I'm totally on board with that. I mean, a lot of I think what we're going to talk about, throughout everything that we're going to go through right now is that Google's content now is focusing on a new, concept called EAT. That's what we call it. So EEAT. So that's expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Like Marissa said, not only does it sometimes, just make up statistics, but it's a robot. So it talks like a robot. And what Google is not prioritizing is you putting out, low quality content that is just, or I guess what people refer to it as AI slop. So you just kind of type in a prompt, have it generate you a blog, and then you throw that on your website. Google knows that you're doing that and it will punish you for that. So you do absolutely, especially in a niche like home care, you need the human touch to be looking over it and providing that insight that only you have as a business owner, because Google knows if you're just throwing stuff together with AI.
Yeah. As a writer, because that's a big chunk of my job, I feel like sometimes if you get stuck, you've got like writer's block or you can't come up with an idea using AI, something like ChatGPT, which is the one people typically talk about, is good for, getting your thoughts or producing ideas, helping you kind of gather some ideas to write something. But it's definitely not a tool that I use to write my blogs because, like you said, I don't want Google to punish me. But sometimes it's really helpful, I think, to write emails Because, especially if it's somebody who's dealing with a customer support email for their agency and they're like, I don't know how to word this correctly. AI tools can be used efficiently and effectively, I think, for things like that. But you
Absolutely.
definitely don't want to use it in a way that's going to hurt your search engine optimization. And before we step any further into that, there are going to be agencies on here who don't know what search engine optimization is. So maybe we should start by explaining that really fast to them.
Yeah. Matthew, I'm going to have you do that one.
Okay. Yeah. So as a broad strokes overview, search engine optimization encompasses anything that you do to your website, just literally anything that you could conceivably think of that you do to your website to help it seem more authoritative on Google. So the way when you search up home care near me, Google looks at all of the websites in your local area and says, I think this one is more authoritative. This one is, more conducive to you, becoming a customer of this one because they are a better company by the metrics that Google uses. Their content is better, all of these different factors. So this is not something you pay Google for. That is pay per click advertising. So all these different things that you're messing around with on your website are things that you do yourself to improve how Google sees your business as an authority in your local area. That's, the broad strokes overview of what it is.
Yeah, you're trying to be the popular kid on the block, basically. You're trying to convince Google that you're the popular kid on the block. Instead of paying Google to be the popular kid on the block. That's pay-per-click.
It's a good way to describe that.
Yeah. And good to know the difference because a lot of people don't.
Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of people hear about search engine marketing and they don't know, there's search engine optimization and search engine marketing and pay-per-click and what's the difference between all of those. So we went through SEO and we went through PPC. Search engine marketing is both of those together. So now you can be the smart cookie on your block.
Yeah, because they always throw out the acronyms and people are like, what does that stand for? So I think that's very helpful to know.
Yeah. So with that in mind, is there a way you think that agencies can use AI to improve their SEO strategy?
Absolutely. I think it's a very similar way to doing regular SEO. I mean, Google is still looking at that to get their AI results. But if you're following Matthew's EAT, then you should be in good standing. Like if nothing else, if you follow those rules, you should be doing okay. I think there's still probably some technical things you can do. Google's changing algorithms all the time, and obviously AI search is changing and growing all of the time. So I'd say make sure your Google business profile is fully filled out and up to date. That's sort of an easy thing to do that, pretty much anyone probably listening to this could do that can help you a little bit.
And they're free. So please do one if you don't have one done already.
And do it for every one of your office locations. You can have a Google business profile for each of your physical office addresses. Make sure to fill those all out because Google likes to pull from its own sources, its own data sources, and Google business profile obviously is a Google property. So what else, Matthew?
So sorry, were you going to add something?
No, keep going.
Okay. So the way that we see AI right now is a lot of ideation, like you just said. As a writer, it's very, very helpful to come up with, new ideas for a blog, help you incorporate those keywords. So before I, start throwing out words, a keyword is, let's say you have customers in your local area and are searching home care near me. We can call that a keyword. That's a term that you would like your business to come up for when somebody types that into Google. So what we think that AI is most helpful for is, like you just said, ideation of these concepts that help you write blog posts, help you come up with, ways to structure your content, anything in the realm of ideation and, optimization, like general optimization. Now, what becomes the problem is because Google prioritizes that EEAT concept, which again is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. There's a couple of those that an AI can't do for you. So what AI can't do is incorporate expert insights unless, you provide them to the AI. But again, it could, jumble around what you actually wanted to say. It can't come up with testimonials unless you yourself have them, and it can't provide a real life example unless you have it. So what I would say is that when you're using AI to, come up with this content, is you have to figure out a way to naturally integrate the information and like expertise that you have as a business owner into that content, and that is what will help you rank. Just typing in a blog concept and, having ChatGPT write it for you is not going to give you the results that you're looking for. You have to throw in that human touch. And to add on what Marissa was talking about with, localization and having that Google My Business profile with, human oversight, that AI content can be tailored to your specific location. But again, there's plenty of things that as the business owner in your local area that an AI doesn't know. So there's probably a ton of colloquial terms that people in your area use. There's specific areas that people frequent. There's specific, things that the elderly might do in your area that you could naturally integrate into your blog. So Google says, oh, so they're not only an expert in this local area, but they also have knowledge of a wider local area. So again, it's just naturally integrating the information that you have as a real person into what the AI has already written for you.
That's excellent information. I'm going to just throw this in really quick. We're not talking about this specifically today, but by throwing information into ChatGPT, be careful what you put in. Because like Robin said at the beginning, you don't want to put any personal information that identifies your clients or anything like that. And we actually have another vlog on our website that Robin did with one of our agency owners about how he was trying to create reports and how you have to be very careful about putting information in there. So if anybody's interested in that, I would encourage them to go look at our blogs page and find that AI blog that interview Robin did with Troy from one of our agencies.
Yeah, it has a lot of great information about, how to be careful, how to not make mistakes with using AI, mistakes that could be very expensive potentially. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you never want to upload that personal identifiable information because there's so many different data security risks. And a lot of these AIs now will actually have I guess, an ability called memory. So you can put in information about, yourself or your company, and it will store that info, but it's storing it ideally to be used to help you with further queries that you have. But of course, that poses a data security risk. So you'd never want to upload information about your clients.
Exactly. Right. So Matthew, on that same point, what are some mistakes that you're seeing agencies make with SEO? Kind of one of the biggest ones.
With just SEO or anything AI related?
I would say AI and SEO. I mean, I think those two could tie into each other. Maybe start with AI and then move into SEO.
Yeah. So with AI, I mean, first things first, like I already said, a lot of companies, I think, when they hear about the ability to, generate content for free with low effort, that's probably pretty attractive to any business owner that has a million things going on. So what tends to happen is you start generating all of that, slop content or sloppy content, and you post it and you believe that this will help you rank because has all the right words in it. Like you're saying all the right things, but it's almost like in a relationship. You're saying all the right things, but you don't have the intent behind it, if that makes any sense.
Or the effort.
There's no effort. You have the right words, but there's no effort behind it. So you're having AI come up with all of these new blogs. You're telling it exactly what keywords you want to rank for. But again, it's still a robot, and Google knows that it's a robot, and Google knows that what it's writing is robotic. So it is actually going to penalize you for doing that, as opposed to giving you, the SEO juice that will help you be the cool kid on the block. That's one of the biggest problems I see, at least right now, with using AI. And of course, anyone that's using it, that's uploading those client testimonials or any kind of data that should not be, put on ChatGPT that would pose some kind of security risk or a HIPAA risk to any of your clients. That's an obvious big risk that, we should continue to remind home care agencies about indefinitely until this maybe becomes the most commonplace thing in our lives. Now, as for general SEO, Marissa, do you want to start that off and then I can add to it?
Yeah, I think probably, the biggest mistake is that a lot of them think that it's a set it and forget it type strategy where, well, I had SEO done when I built my website. I don't need to touch it again, and it's just going to work like magic. And B, that they can do it themselves. those are the two most common issues that I get over and over again with clients. And of course, there's, they work with a provider who promises the moon and they don't see any results. But that's a whole different topic. But I think SEO can be so complicated because there's so many different things that go into Google deciding who's going to be at the top of search results for that non-paid organic position. And obviously you want to be on that first page of search for as many of those queries that people type in looking for services in your area as possible. But getting to that point, there's a lot of different things that go into that. And it changes from time to time. So if you don't have a team working with you who, eats, drinks, and breathes search engine optimization and stays up on all of the changing trends and what can affect you in a good way, what can affect you in a bad way, what's going to move the needle the fastest, then it's going to be a lot of wasted effort. So I think that's probably my pitch right there.
And there's probably a lot of home care agencies who think, I do a blog, that's sufficient for my SEO, right? And I'm over here going, no, you need to do more than that. But, adding things like the Google Business Profile is one of the things that they can do. What are some other things that they can do a little bit on their own until they are, at a place where they're ready to hire a marketing company?
Yeah, here's two really easy things to do. Update your citations. Your citations are your address listings, your like white pages all over the internet. There's a lot of different places, that you can put that, and make sure that it's exactly the same as what is listed on your website, because Google likes that consistency. For whatever reason, that still is helping with SEO. So make sure those are updated and get more testimonials, specifically in Google, because again, Google likes to focus on prioritizing its own properties. But they're putting more and more emphasis on reviews. So those are two things that you could easily do on your own.
And are those reviews specifically for Google Business Profile, or do they need to be putting them on their website as well?
You should actually not repost any reviews from Google or Facebook or any of the other places, because technically Google and Facebook own those, and you should not be reposting their content exactly. A lot of people don't realize that. You can use, there's software that can automatically pull in reviews from Google and Facebook and have those posted on your website. And those are sort of live. So if somebody removes a review from Google, it would automatically remove it from your website as well. That you can do. But otherwise, you'll have to link directly to your Google reviews or your Facebook reviews from your website for people to
use a widget or something like that.
Exactly.
Got it.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
We're full of tips.
Which is why you're here.
Exactly. And that leads into my next question, which is, those are some things that people can handle themselves sort of in-house, but what are the biggest advantages of working with an experienced SEO agency like corecubed instead of just trying to handle all of this stuff yourself?
We have a lot of tools that we pay for to help us analyze your data so that we can make better decisions on what's going to move the needle better for you. Things like analyzing your competitors and the keywords and links that they're getting to their websites. Things like, how are people traveling through your website? We put heat maps on everyone's website so we can see exactly where people are clicking, where they're not clicking, if they're making it to the bottom of the page. And that can help improve your user experience with that data. And if you think about it, a lot of that data that's aggregated is AI as well. So really, AI has been used in SEO for a very long time. With the generative AI that we have now, it's just kind of brought it to a different level. What else, Matthew? I know there's lots of different tools and things that professional agencies use.
There's just so many different things. I mean, to add on to the things you already explained. So heat mapping is one of the tools that I think a lot of agencies don't really utilize as much as they could be. So not only does heat mapping show us where people are clicking, it also shows us exactly where people on your website are dropping off. So when somebody comes to your website, a lot of times you actually lose them within the first 5 seconds because they either can't find what they're looking for and they just don't believe that you're a trustworthy business for whatever reason. That could be because your navigation is poor, the load time was really slow, whatever the answer might be. But we can track that drop off rate. So we know when they're coming to your website that they left within the first 3 seconds because they went to your services and they didn't find something, clearly because they clicked on it and left. So when we have that kind of very granular data, we can look at that and say, okay, so we need to make a change here, there, and there. We need to make your call to action more prominent to get people to, come to the website and immediately start, booking that consultation that, we all want. We need to make your services more prominent. We need to make whatever it might be that we're looking to get the user to do. We can figure that out almost immediately by looking at that kind of heat map data. And then again, going back to what Marissa said too, comparing that backlink data and that what competitor data, we have a variety of tools that we use to do that. So we can look at your best competitors in your area, exactly what links that they're getting, what directories they're going for, what businesses that they're getting links from to improve that SEO juice and be the best kid on the block, be the coolest kid on the block. We can figure out exactly what they're targeting and replicate that and do it better. So again, and this is not, these are concepts that are, quite can get quite granular and quite technical, but this this information and this data is very hard to compile. And if you don't have access to these tools, it's kind of foreign to a lot of people. So
yeah, you need a bunch of nerds to work on your website.
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah. Well, I think that it goes down to time and it goes down to talent. And so what I say is like, if you are in the home care space, hopefully the reason that you're there is to provide really good care. Do you want to be trying to teach yourself how to manage your website? Or would you rather pay an expert who that's their background, that's what they do all day, to do that for you and take that off your plate so that you can get back to your business of taking care of people? So to me, my talent is not, doing math. Don't ever ask me to do math. I leave the finances to our finance director. I'm like, if I can use a calculator on a good day, go me. But that's not my talent. And I know it. Nobody's going to ask me to do that at our office. They are too smart for that. But I know where my talents lie, and that's where I'm going to focus my time and attention. And I feel like home care agencies try to manage everything because a lot of them, they're just starting out and they don't really have a choice. But there's got to be a point where you say, I'm going to let this go and let somebody else do it and let them be the expert on that topic so I can, do the type of marketing that is putting people in the hospitals to talk to their social workers and, making those relationships and doing that kind of marketing. But then letting this type of marketing, their website, their SEO, letting that go to somebody like you guys.
Absolutely. I think there was some president who said, I don't need to know everything. I just need to surround myself with people who do. Something like that. I'm totally getting the whole quote wrong, but that's the gist of it.
It's a good idea. I don't know who said it either, but I love that. Robin, do you have any other questions? I know we had a bunch that we were going to.
I think I just have one more about kind of how having a strong SEO strategy translates into more leads and clients for home care agencies. We've talked a lot about SEO, but what's the payoff, right? Putting in this time and effort, what is it going to get you?
There will be more people finding your site. And if you also work to improve that user experience when they get to your site, you lead the horse to water, and now you can make them drink. That's also part of SEO. Then obviously that will translate to more calls of, people needing services, more form fills. And if you're looking for more caregivers, you can get more applicants that way as well. It's just a much broader exposure to new people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's very perfect overview of it. So in a little more granular is with SEO, not only are we just, ranking your business higher. I think a lot of people might not know what exactly that means. So when we say SEO is about ranking your business on Google, what that means is that not just for somebody typing in home care near me, that's somebody typing in, a variety of different keywords. So not only are you coming up on the first page of Google, ideally, when somebody types in home care near me. So let's say I'm in Bristol County, Massachusetts. So somebody types in home care Bristol County, I would ideally like to be one of the first businesses that comes up. Now, if somebody typed in elderly services near me, or elderly care near me, or maybe senior care near me, or uh, I need care for my parent, or something like that, whatever other query that somebody might conceivably come up with, we all want our businesses to appear for all of those too. So throughout SEO, not only are you just ranking for, the most general things like home care near me, but you're also ranking for all these other different ways that people might be searching for your business. And, one more thing to add on to that is that local SEO is going to drive high intent visitors to your business. So not just people who might need care. If somebody's searching up home care near me, there's a good chance they need home care pretty soon. So
yeah,
that's one of the biggest benefits is that you're getting these high intent visitors to your website, on autopilot once you put in the legwork in the beginning, and then you actually have achieved, that authoritativeness with Google, then things, get a lot easier and you get a lot more leads to your business.
And that's why it goes back to what Marissa said about having a Google business profile for each location, because Google is looking at your location. And when somebody types in that near me part, they're going to be looking at, Google's going to automatically be using its algorithm to locate the home care agency that is closest to the person who's doing that search. So that's why having those is really important. And I also want to mention that we keep talking about Google. There are other search engines, right? We know there's Edge and Safari and DuckDuckGo and Brave and all these others, but Google is now a verb. So
yeah, and a lot of those search engines take their data from Google. So they're sort of following Google's lead.
So in that respect, you mentioned, I think at the beginning of this conversation, we touched on the importance of Google's algorithm. And we know that that is constantly evolving. They update that like consistently. So can you talk to us a little bit about like how often they change that and how that impacts home care agencies and what they're doing with their businesses?
I mean, when I started doing SEO, when Matthew was knee high to a grasshopper, I mean, it was about how can we game the system? And people were getting junky backlinks everywhere. They were paying for backlinks. They were putting as much content out as possible. It didn't matter if it was quality. It was, more is better. And as Google's algorithm has become more sophisticated, they've been able to tell what is actually worthwhile. And it's now more about quality than it is about quantity. That's, a very broad way to overview it, but that's kind of the evolution that they've been trying to go for.
So I was at a conference last year, and there was a Google expert in the room, and he said when it comes to quality, that Google is now starting to look for things like case studies, where it's important information that people can actually gather something from, instead of, like you said, just throwing spaghetti up against the wall and hoping something sticks with a bunch of keywords in there.
Yeah.
Are there any other ideas that you guys have for providing quality information? Blogs, content?
Yeah, I mean, there's the two big things. Like we've already, like I said, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about right now is about that EEAT. So it's experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness.
I'm just going to make you keep saying that so they remember.
It's okay. No, that's exactly what we want. We want to help these companies get more clients and provide more care. So besides doing that, so you're publishing real stories, real expert advice that you have as a business owner, and client testimonials in whatever way that, that will help you comply with personal information. On top of that, now Google's AI is able to deliver more personalized results to the end user who is searching for care. And those results are intent based instead of just, matching keywords. Like Google is able to tell on a balance of probabilities pretty much what the intent of your search is. So in order to, combat that or work with Google's new algorithm changes, we want to optimize not just for those very simple queries that people type in, like, home care or senior care. We want to optimize for long tail keywords, which are just, longer phrases that people are typing into Google as a broad overview, and conversational queries. So instead of home care near me, or like I had said, senior care near me, or elder care near me, we want to optimize for questions that people actually have as people, because Google can identify that if you're searching, elderly care near me, you might have a specific question that relates to that. So a query like, how do I choose a caregiver for my dad? Or like, I need a caregiver for my mother. Or in like frequently asked question based content is what I like to refer to it as. So questions that humans actually have is what you want to be optimizing your blog content, your website content, and anything as it relates to those two concepts for. We want to optimize for conversational queries. So things that human beings actually say and think, because Google is able to, tell that. Google might know us better than we know ourselves at this point. But like that's at least it feels like that.
Yeah.
It's honestly what it feels like. But that's what we want to be optimizing for instead of just those, very simple terms.
Good to know.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. I think these have been really helpful, especially for me. There's a lot of marketing things that I don't understand, a lot about SEO that I don't understand. So this has been really illuminating. So I really appreciate Matthew and Marissa coming and talking to us about some of these. Is there anything that you want to add before we go ahead and wrap up?
Just I'll teach you one last term so you can be the smart cookie. Generative engine optimization. That's the new one. And it's like SEO, but it's GEO and generative engine optimization. So now you can throw that term out and you can be like, look what I know.
Tell them your website real quick. We want them to find it.
Our website address is corecubed.com, corecubed.com. And all of our contact information is on there. So feel free to reach out if you have questions. We love to educate and help you in your journey with marketing.
Yeah, we love CoreCubed. They are great partners and we highly recommend them. So thank you all so much for joining us today. And we look forward to sharing many more blogs with you about important topics to the home care industry in the future. Thank you, Marissa and Matthew. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.